Welcome, Gabriella. Welcome, Deepak. It's definitely two forces of nature on my show this morning. Thank you for joining us. Gabriella, I want to begin with you because this is a personal mission for you because you lost a beautiful sister to suicide. And this is about, I think, channeling the emotion of that loss into something powerful and something positive to help as many other people as you can. Let's begin there.
Thank you so much, Julia. I actually want to start with Never Alone is a love story. And it starts with a very personal love story. My sister, singer-songwriter, died by suicide 4 years ago now. And I suppose it's that love, because her absence has created so much presence with the fact that we need to feel her, we need to experience the healing through her absence, and we need to do something about it. And the truth is, when she died by suicide, I realized that we're not alone. That we're not alone. There are millions of people who are experiencing this grief. And the grief was so gigantic that it just was swallowing us slowly. And when I say us, it was not only myself. I'm the elder sister. I have a middle sister. She was the baby sister. And then there's my parents, there's my son. And all of a sudden it felt like the Titanic. There was nothing that we could do. We felt hopeless, we felt helpless. And there was just this string of love that was our only hope to almost just survive the grief. And that's when I realized, you know what, we have to do something about this because we're not alone. We're not the only ones who are experiencing this suffering. And we have to start by raising awareness. And that's how Never Alone started. It just became this inner cry, this love story, this tangible experience of how can I translate this loss into a loving presence so that we can shine light on this stigma, because there is a huge stigma, Julia, as you just so said, culturally, religiously, identity, country-wise, we look at mental health very differently.
Deepak, I think that's in many ways the perfect way to describe it, not just the devastating loss of losing someone, the emotional suffering that they went through and what led them to choose suicide and saw that as the only path out. But also this idea that there's people around them that also perhaps may be able to be advised on what to look for, how to help. Deepak, the importance of this initiative, and also I think the importance of what you saw in Gabriella as someone that can be such a beacon of light to help people, whether it's watching someone suffer or someone that needs help and just needs to reach out.
So, as you said, Julia, right now it's a pandemic, and it's a much bigger pandemic. Depression, anxiety, stress, and even suicidal ideation combined are a bigger pandemic than all other pandemics combined. So our humanity is incomplete unless we address this. The wisdom traditions of the world tell us that if you have empathy, which means you feel what another person feels, compassion, which means you have the desire to alleviate suffering, it automatically leads to what we call love in action. And this partnership with Gabriella is about love in action, because love without action is really irrelevant, and action without love is meaningless. But when you have love and action combined, then you can achieve extraordinary things because the whole world supports you. And Gabriella brings to this a very strong emotional story, which actually, instead of fighting the darkness, brings in the light. And then we also bring science to it. When you have these ingredients that we talk about: attention, deep listening; affection, deep caring; appreciation, deep gratitude, in a sense, for the uniqueness of every human being; and acceptance of all of us, including our own shadows and our own demons, then there is a biological response to that. Your neural network's wired, there's rewired. There's something called limbic resonance. Your emotional brain starts to rewire itself. Limbic resonance leads to limbic regulation, which means your brain starts, your emotional brain starts to self-regulate itself and ultimately leads to limbic revision, which means your brain actually changes its neural networks. So with Gabriella bringing the story element and the conversation elements, and then our access to science and the world community, we think we can use what we're doing, including artificial intelligence and deep learning, and creating online and offline communities of compassion and joy. We can hopefully aspire to a critical mass for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to tell the world about it.
It's funny, Deepak, when I asked Gabriella where she found the strength from, having described what happened to her family as being like the Titanic and the devastation that took place after the loss of Paulette, she said, you have to ask Deepak that, love in action and the 4 A's. And you just described that, I think, that part of reconnecting, I think, emotionally and working out how you move forward and how you turn something so sad into something so positive. I want to talk about the technology because I do think this is really interesting, and this AI bot and Pee-wee, Gabriella, you can describe, because I know that was there's a nickname for your sister. But this idea perhaps that for young people, and some part of it breaks my heart, but some part of me also recognizes the power of it. They'd rather speak to an AI robot because they don't feel judged in some way, but that the power to magnify those that you touch using technology at this moment in time is huge. And that's the point here. We want to touch as many lives as possible, help as many people as possible.
Absolutely. And Pee-wee so far. So Pee-wee is the nickname of my little sister. And I speak about her in the present tense because the presence never dies. You know, just presence doesn't die. And presence, when you're fully in the awareness of it, is love. And that is the language and that's the energy that is behind what we're doing. It's this currency of love in action, as Deepak described. So Pee-wee is also an acronym for people interacting with intention. And so we were able to couple her nickname with actually what we do. And this AI emotional chatbot, during the height of the pandemic, 16 million messages were exchanged on our platform, 6 million minutes of conversation were recorded and helped people, and 6,000 suicide ideations were de-escalated. So we have much more data as well. And that was the first rendition of Pee-wee. We're now reactivating her with a more well-being, mental well-being appropriation to accompany you on your journey for every day. And so that's obviously consciousness-based, thanks to Dr. Deepak Chopra and all of the work that we do through consciousness studies, bringing that to the tip of your fingers so that you never experience loneliness, so that you know that you can go somewhere. And it's exactly what you were saying, Julia. Young people prefer to talk to technology. They don't want to, they do not feel judged. They feel safer. And this is the world that we're in today, whether we like it or not. Technology is part of our humanity, and we need to embrace it and flood it with consciousness and consciousness tools, self-awareness tools. And these tools can then really help families in distress, because everyone, like in my family, there's blind spots. Sometimes it's easier to help a stranger than to help some of your family members. And we have to be vulnerable enough to realize that we don't know everything, but we will know together.
Yeah, it's funny, in a world where we're more connected than ever, at times the degree of loneliness is that much greater. But if we can harness technology for good, to connect people the right way and for the right reasons, it can be so powerful. Deepak, very quickly, I know you've employed all sorts of ways to help raise money as well, including a foray into crypto. I'm not going to ask you your views on cryptocurrencies, don't worry. But what more do you need? How can people help? What's the game plan going forward to get as many people aware of this and conscious of this as we can?
I think the more people participate, the more people there are for each other in those 4 A's: acceptance, appreciation, deep gratitude, purpose, meaning, all coming together. We have a new story for humanity. To be human is to have a story. We need to upgrade our story right now, collectively, because everything that we're talking about today in the world, social injustice, economic injustice, fractured relationships, war, terrorism, economic disruptions, the destruction of the ecosystem, worldwide pandemics. They're all related to one simple fact: we haven't discovered who we are. If we knew who we are at the most fundamental level, then we are so inseparably interconnected that our joy depends on each other, our health depends on each other, our happiness depends on each other, and it's time to rewire, even globally, the neural networks of the collective mind. And that's happening right now through social media. It's happening
Yeah.
through this conversation, and
Yeah,
will
we're
happen
working.
through new
We're working
technologies,
on it.
including
Yeah.
internet.
Gabriella, I have a minute left. I watched videos of your sister singing this morning. She has, to use your present term, the most angelic voice, beautiful, her smile, megawatt. What do you want people to know about how she would feel now about this conversation, perhaps, but also what someone so beautiful, so talented, but also suffering so deeply and quietly, what the message is?
The message that she would want us to realize is that if we're more kinder, we would be able to hear each other's inner smile. And if we're able to hear that, then there's no need to judge anyone. There's no need to be angry. There's no need to gossip. It's just the currency of kindness.
Yes.
And I think, kindness heals the world. Kindness heals the world.
A beautiful legacy. Gabriella,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank
Gabriella
you so
Wright. Yeah. Deepak Chopra there, both of you. Thank you so much, and come back soon. We'll track your progress. Thank you for what you're doing. And a reminder of that website, it's neveralone.love. And there are also mental health resources on CNN.com, and next month in the United States, it's National Suicide Prevention Week too.